everybody. I was sitting around thinking about what videos I want to make, and there's a few that I definitely want to make and I have the footage for. But as I was doing that and collecting footage, I quickly realized that all the content I'm making is about Forsaken exotics, Forsaken subclasses, and then of course very soon, December 4th, Black Armory is coming out, so all of the content I'm going to be talking about is to do with Black Armory. So I figured before we get into that hailstorm of Black Armory and me wanting to talk about another Forsaken video, that I would just do a video talking about Destiny 2 base game. I know a lot of people have recently started playing, and I know it can be very overwhelming. What's a good exotic? What's a good exotic weapon? What makes a weapon good? What makes an exotic good? No idea. The game doesn't do a very good job of explaining what is good and what's not, and just explaining things in general. So I thought I would try and make that feeling of being overwhelmed a little bit better by just letting you know some things that you should be on the lookout for as you are making your way through the Destiny 2 journey. So I'm gonna mostly be talking about exotic weapons and exotic armor, and what ones you should be super excited when you see them drop for you. But I'm also gonna mention some blue weapons that are really good, because of course as you're leveling up and you're just playing through the game, you're gonna find these blue weapons quite a lot, and they are still really good in PvP to this day now with Forsaken out. People are still using these blue weapons, so I'm gonna recommend those as well, but mostly focused on exotic weapons and exotic armor. So let's kick things off with exotic weapons, the first being Vigilance Wing. Vigilance Wing is a pulse rifle. The perk for it is that this weapon fires a 5-round burst. When a nearby ally is killed, gain health regeneration and increase movement speed. Now that perk, Harsh Truths, where you get your health back when an ally dies, it has an insanely large range. Basically, if you're on the same team as someone and they die. So this can of course be good in PvE if you're in a strike and you're fighting with obviously 2 other people, and then if they die, you get healed, so then you might be able to clutch up that situation a little bit easier because you did get a bump of health back. It's also just really good in PvP. It's just a super solid pulse rifle. If you can land all of your shots, you're going to be killing people very quickly. In the past meta, it was crazy good. Now there is some more competition for it, but it's still just a really good pulse rifle. Now another perk that it has on it is Last Stand, where you get improved weapon performance and greatly increased recovery when its wielder is the last living member of a fire team. So again, it really plays into, if you end up being the last person on your fire team to be alive, this can be really good for competitive, this can be really good for strikes, it can be good for raids. You get that initial health regeneration because an ally died, and then you also get this perk that makes everything a lot better if you are the last person standing. So Vigilance Wing is always going to be a weapon that is solid. It's also freaking beautiful, and you should be on the lookout for it to see if it drops for you. Next, we're going to take a look at MIDA Multi-Tool. Now this weapon is really just a good scout rifle. It doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't have any crazy perks like Last Stand on the Vigilance Wing, but it does give you an increased movement speed, so you do run incredibly fast when you have this weapon equipped, and it also makes sure that your radar stays active when you're aiming down sights. So if you're someone who has gotten into Destiny and maybe you're getting used to using the radar and when you should be looking at it and what distance the radar actually shows you, this can be a good weapon for that because it allows you to stay scoped but also be aware of your radar. So it can be good for people who are getting used to just the Destiny radar. It's a very solid scout rifle. Unfortunately, scout rifles are not the best guns at the moment for PvP, but MIDA Multi-Tool has always, through Destiny's history, just been a solid weapon that does what you expect it to do, and it does it very well. So if you are the type of player that enjoys playing with a long-range scout rifle type weapon, then you might really enjoy MIDA Multi-Tool. The next weapon is Graviton Lance. Now Graviton Lance is a really fun weapon, and what it does is it has a perk called Black Hole, where the second shot of a burst rips a hole through space-time, doing high damage and recoil with no fall off. And then you also have Cosmology, where when you get a kill with this weapon, it causes enemy targets to detonate and spawn void projectiles that track targets. So you kill someone, essentially goop explodes from their body and goes to track other people nearby and does damage to them. Now it is a lot of damage. It is a lot of damage. It's very good for killing a bunch of adds that are stacked up together. You can clear out a whole thing with just one shot, and it actually does a lot of damage in PvP. This perk, Cosmology, will hurt people, so you can end up getting a lot of double, triple kills by killing people if they're bunched up together if you're using Graviton Lance. So it's just a really fun weapon to use. It's got some really fun perks by exploding things. So again, it does play more like a scout rifle though. It does say that it is a pulse rifle, but it definitely feels much like a scout rifle. So if you aren't someone that enjoys that long range scout rifle type of play, you might not enjoy it. But again, if you are someone who does like that more long distance scout rifle type play, then you will definitely enjoy Graviton Lance. Next up, we have RISKRUNNER, which is an SMG that is just absolutely amazing at killing adds, especially if they deal arc damage. So the perk is Arc Conductor. When you take arc damage, the weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage. Kills extend the time in this overcharged state. So basically what that's saying, if you found that confusing at all, if you get hit with arc damage, so if you guys have fought the Fallen, they do a lot of arc damage. There's actually a lot of aliens that do arc damage, but any alien in Destiny that does arc damage to you, it makes you resist incoming arc damage, so you basically take no damage at all. And it also powers up your weapon to where you can just spray everything down, and every kill you get keeps reloading your magazine and keeps you in this overcharged state. So you can just spray everything down in your path, take no damage, and kill everything and chain lightning to each other. So that's where this perk comes in, called Superconductor. When Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have a chance to become chain lightning and return ammo. So yeah, like I said, you get this, you get hit by arc damage, you're taking no damage from arc damage, and then you just have these chains of lightning hitting everything, and you reload your magazine and you can just spray nonstop. So this is very good for PvE when you're fighting adds, and you can just clear them super duper easily. It's not bad in PvP either. It's a pretty solid weapon, but you basically are leaving it down to RNG of what the enemy is using to whether this perk is going to actually happen at all. The next weapon is Merciless, which is a fusion rifle. This was the bad boy killing machine of PvE before we got some of the later weapons, but this gun is still really good. Now, what does it do? It has a perk called Conserve Momentum, where non-lethal hits with this weapon make it charge faster until its wielder gets a kill. So if you're shooting a really beefy target, you will keep just spamming your Merciless shot. So initially it's like broop, broop, and then it goes faster, 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 until there's basically no charge speed at all, and you're doing an absolute butt ton of damage. That's why it's so good, because it ends up charging so incredibly fast that you end up doing a lot of damage. Now, the other perk that it has is Reloading. Immediately after kill, increases weapon damage for a short time. So if you do finally get that kill from spamming your Merciless at things, you can then reload, and then you'll do more damage and then get this perk again, and it just starts an everlasting cycle of death and murder. So Merciless is very good against bosses. The next weapon is Borealis, which is a very interesting sniper rifle in that you can change the energy that it shoots. So if you are playing PvE and you're fighting a bunch of dudes that have a bunch of different shields, some have arc, some have void, some have solar, Borealis is going to enable you to take those shields down really fast no matter what the element is, because you can always change the element. Now, the other perk that it has is when you break an enemy shield, it transfers one bullet from reserves. Breaking a combat shield or the shield of a guardian using a super with that shield's energy type grants bonus damage for the rest of the magazine. Basically, in layman's terms, if you are fighting an arc enemy and you use your arc damage Borealis to break that shield, you get increased damage. That's basically what it means. But the main reason why I'm recommending this is because actually this is just a really solid sniper rifle in PvP. It just feels good, the scope feels good. When I'm using it, I feel like I'm being much more consistent with this weapon than other sniper rifles. So Borealis, super good to take into places where there's a lot of different enemy shields, and it's just really good in PvP. Next up in weapons, we have Tractor Cannon, which is still incredibly good. I know you'll probably hear me throughout the video say, oh, well, this used to be really good last patch, but it's still pretty good. But this is still used and still very, very, very good. Now, what Tractor Cannon does is it emits a powerful impulse that pushes enemies away, suppresses their abilities, and makes them more vulnerable to all incoming damage, especially Void. So if you use a Tractor Cannon in PvE, you want to go in there, boop him, we call it the boop gun, you boop them with the Tractor Cannon, then all of your allies can just dump damage into that thing, and it dies really fast. Now in PvP, you can get people out of their supers, so if you're playing PvP and you are feeling like you're having a bad time with people just always having their supers, you can use this against them to take them out of their super, which is very, very funny. The other perk that it has, the damaging an opponent temporarily increases speed and handling. So if you do end up booping them and then you damage them, you can get increased speed while running around and switching weapons, which is how people tend to use it. They tend to use this with another really powerful weapon. They boop the enemy, switch to that weapon, do a bunch of damage, and then boop the enemy again and just rinse and repeat. So this Tractor Cannon, if you're going to use any power weapon that you guys can get in base Destiny, I highly recommend Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon is great just for everything. Now, the last weapon that I'm going to recommend is the WARDCLIFF COIL, which is an exotic rocket launcher. It fires a volley of rockets, and this weapon automatically reloads on ammo pickup. This weapon is insane. It tracks people no matter where they go. They cannot hide from it. So in PvP, basically it's a free kill, free multiple kills, because it just explodes all these bullets and it tracks people no matter where they go. In PvE, it does pretty good damage against bosses, and it is incredibly good at clearing a lot of ads all grouped up. So overall, very, very solid weapon. If I had to recommend any weapons from all of the exotic weapons that I mentioned, I would go with Tractor Cannon and WARDCLIFF COIL. Those are really powerful weapons. Now, moving on to my recommendations for exotic armor, please keep in mind that I'm a hunter and I know nothing about anything else, but I do know what hurts when I get killed by it in the Crucible. Also, you won't see a preview because I'm a hunter. So the first one that I'm recommending is an insurmountable SKULLFORT. This is a helmet for Titans. The perk is that kills with arc melee abilities trigger health regeneration and restore melee energy. Basically, if you guys have played an Arc Titan at all and you've experimented with running and then shoulder charging things, this helmet allows you to not only get your health back when you shoulder charge a thing, but you also get your melee energy back so you can continue shoulder charging a thing. If you want to have fun in PvE or PvP, you want to use this helmet because I've used it on console. I don't have a Titan on PC. I only run a Hunter on PC, but I do have experience with it, and you can just constantly shoulder charge everything. Shoulder charge is a one-hit kill in the Crucible. You can just run around and shoulder charge everything. It's incredibly fun. I recommend it. Be an Arc Titan, throw this on, and experience fun. Now, the next piece of Titan armor that I'm recommending is SYNTHOCEPS. What this does is it increases your melee lunge range, and you have improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded. So basically, what this means is if you are in the Crucible and you're fighting an enemy team and there's maybe 2 people around you, 3 people around you, you can just one-hit melee all of them. Usually melees in the Crucible are 2 hits. With this, you can just punch everybody to death with your increased melee lunge range, so you're hitting people from stupid ranges and you are one-hitting them. Yeah, if you want to just be a punchy punch Titan, this is the ultimate punchy punch Titan exotic, and it's fun. Basically what I'm saying is if you want to have fun as a Titan, just constantly punch things. And the last exotic armor that I'm going to recommend is Doom Fang Pauldron, and the perk on this is Void melee kills give super energy, while in your Sentinel shield, melee kills recharge shield throw, which extends your super on hits. So the way that this works is if you're playing the Sentinel Titan where you have the Captain America shield, you can hit things with your shield bash in that super, which will then recharge your long range throwing ability in your super, and then when you get a kill with your shield throw, you get more super. So basically, I recommend this one more so for PvE than PvP, but with this exotic, you can just constantly keep your super going. Just bash, throw a shield, bash, throw a shield, bash, throw a shield. It keeps recharging your super, and you end up clearing millions of aliens all by yourself because you never have to worry about your super disappearing. So that's a really fun way to mess around with the Sentinel super, because you just get to keep it forever. Now moving on to hunters that I actually know stuff about. The exotics I'm gonna recommend are Celestial Nighthawk, where this modifies your golden gun to fire a single high damage shot. Enemies eliminated by the shot explode and grant you super energy. So this has always been the exotic that people use when they're using golden gun and they're playing high level PvE activities, because it just makes your golden gun shot do so much damage. So this one, highly recommend for PvE. Don't use it in PvP. You're just gonna get one shot instead of 6 potentially. But use this one with the golden gun tree that gives you precision damage in your golden gun shots, and you will do an absolute butt ton of damage to PvE monsters. Use it on bosses, use it on mini bosses, and you'll be taking them all out incredibly quickly. The next exotic armor piece that I recommend is RAIDEN FLUX. What this does is if you hit quick successive attacks with Arc Staff, it increases its damage output and duration. So if you are using the Arc Hunter at all, it doesn't matter which tree you're using, the top one or the bottom one or the middle one, but I'm assuming you don't have that yet. RAIDEN FLUX will enable you to just hit a bunch of things, clear a bunch of ads, and you get to keep your super for an incredibly long time. It makes it to where you can keep your super for like 3 times as long. It's really good. Basically, if you're using an Arc Hunter and you're playing PvE, you should be using this. You can use it in PvP and it will extend your super if you're killing more than one person in a very quick time frame, but I definitely do recommend it more for PvE and clearing out ads, not doing damage against bosses necessarily. But yeah, this is really good for Arc Hunters. If you're an Arc Hunter, you should use it. Now moving on to my favorite exotic PvP armor piece, the Dragon Shadow. Now the perk makes it to where when you dodge, it reloads all of your weapons and increases both movement and weapon handling speeds for a brief time. This is amazing in PvP, and you should just trust me on that. If you want to know more information about it, I will leave a video in the description that shows you why it is amazing in detail. But just imagine your most clunkiest, slowest reloading weapon ever. Put this on and now it's the fastest, most amazing weapon ever. It's just really freaking good. It makes you move fast, it makes you switch weapons fast, it makes you reload fast. It just makes you a speedy Sonic, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can find out more about this in detail. But put this on, use it, it's the best. The next one that I'm gonna recommend is Orpheus Rig. Orpheus Rig are still to this day one of the best hunter exotics you can get. Now the reason it is the best is because it provides ability energy for each enemy tethered, and Mobius Quiver has more shots. We're gonna even just ignore that last part. Basically, if you're running Tether, which is the Void Hunter, and you shoot it and you tether a bunch of enemies, you're gonna get your grenade energy back, your melee energy back, and you get your super energy back. So the way that it works is you just constantly have your tether, because you're just constantly hitting things with your tether, getting your super back, and then you do it again. So if you are playing PvE, and you are a Void Hunter and you do not have these pants on, I will be mad at you, because that is your option. You're a Void Hunter, you're using Quiver, you need to be using this exotic. It's really good. Now the last exotic I'm going to recommend for hunters is Stompies. You can use these in PvE, they make jumping a lot easier, but these are the PvP meta exotic for hunters. Even now, even to this day, high level hunters will most likely be wearing Stompies. Now what does it do? It increases your sprint speed and slide distance, and it improves all of your jumps. So what it means by improve is it makes it go higher, much higher. So you end up being able to jump much higher, you can slide further and faster. So if you're using a shotgun, you can get in there and slide shotgun someone much easier. And it just makes it really hard for people to hit you because you're constantly just jumping and flying around in the air. So this basically takes full advantage of hunters' mobility and their verticality. So if you are a PvP player and you want to be a slippery hunter, this is the slippery hunter armor piece. Now our last thing we're gonna look out is exotics for the Warlock. Again, I am a hunter. I know some stuff about other things, but yeah. Anyway, Crown of Tempest. Crown of Tempest is the first one that I recommend, and what it does is your arc ability kills increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. So if you're in your zippy zap hands and you're going around the arena and you're just zippy zapping everything, it basically makes you able to keep that for way longer. And it increases the rate at which you get that super back and your other abilities. But basically you're just using this so you have your super forever and then you get your super back really quickly. So if you are an Arc Warlock, highly recommend Crown of Tempest. The next exotic armor piece we have is Sunbracers, where this increases the duration of solar grenades, and when you get solar melee kills, you get unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. This basically makes it to where you can just shower the floor with solar grenades after you get a melee kill. Very, very, very good in PvE. Hilarious in PvP. Maybe not the most practical thing, but still incredibly funny. But yeah, you can just basically shower the entire floor with solar grenades and clear out an entire area of aliens without having to use your super. You can just litter it with grenades. Very fun and very fiery. Very fiery. Next, we have transversive steps, which is what I like to call the PvP exotic warlock thing. Yeah, it's really good in PvP. What does it do? It increases your sprint speed, and also after a short time sprinting, your currently equipped weapon is automatically reloaded. So it basically makes you able to be very fast, which is always good in the Crucible. If you can be that little bit faster and get behind that corner a little bit faster, you could stay alive, you can chase somebody down, and it also reloads your weapon when you're sprinting. So this is really good for special ammo because you only get 2 shots in your special ammo. So say for example you're using a shotgun, you expel those 2 shots, you pick up some green ammo on the floor, you don't need to really worry about reloading because you can just sprint and it will reload that weapon. So I really like using these in PvP. When I play Warlock, again on console because I haven't made one on PC, but when I play Warlock, I always use transversive steps. I really, really like them in PvP. And the last exotic that I recommend for Warlocks is LUNAFACTION boots. These boots are amazing. If you want to be loved by everyone forever, use these boots in PvP. So what does it do? It makes your Rift gain the ability to automatically reload allies' weapons. Empowering Rift makes weapon effective over longer ranges. So if you are doing a strike with 2 random people, you put down an empowering rift to make your allies do more damage, and your team can just constantly wail on that boss. They don't need to reload. It increases your damage output by an absurd amount. You'd actually be really surprised how much damage you lose by having to reload your weapon. This makes it to where you don't have to reload your weapon. You can also kill bosses that you didn't think possible with shotguns because it has an increased effective range. So LUNAFACTION boots, if you get these and you're doing PvE and you're a warlock, put them on. Everyone will love you and send you love mail. You've heard of hate mail? With these, you get love mail. I love warlocks when they're using LUNAFACTION boots. Now, before we end out the video, I did want to recommend some blue weapons to be on the lookout for as you're leveling up, because the blue weapons I'm about to mention are still used to this day because of how freaking good they are. The first one is the hand cannon Allegro. This has opening shot on it and ricochet rounds. You're mostly just using it for opening shot. What it does is it has an improved accuracy and range on the opening shot. So you are much more accurate and you have a much further distance that you can shoot people at on that very first shot that you shoot. This hand cannon just feels really good. There's a lot of under the hood stuff that happens with weapons to make them feel good, and this is one of those weapons that just feel very accurate and feels very consistent. So if you get an Allegro, make sure you keep it and just try it out and see what you think, because it's actually an incredibly good hand cannon. The next blue I'm gonna recommend is the SONDOK-C. Now this is the exact version of the legendary SMG called the Antiope. I will never say that right. People will always be mad at me. But this is the blue version, and there's a guaranteed way to get it. You don't have to worry about RNG. You don't have to wait for RNG. But let's go over why it's good first before I let you know how you get it. It has kill clip. Kill clip is incredibly good just everywhere, especially in the Crucible. Kill clip rampage, make you do more damage, make you kill faster, and anything that makes you kill people faster in the Crucible is going to be an amazing weapon. It also has ricochet rounds or tactical mag, and then it has these iron sights. Now, how do you get this weapon? So the way that you get the SONDOK-C is, like I said, completely not random. You can do an adventure and get it, and it's going to be an adventure called Exodus Siege, which is going to be in around this location. I've already done it, so I can't show you the exact location on the map, but it's on Nessus, the planet Nessus, and it's in this location over here, and it's called Exodus Siege. Do that adventure, and your reward is the SONDOK-C, which is an absolute amazing blue SMG. And the last blue weapon that I recommend is a shotgun called the BOTHERATION MK28. It has hammer forged rifling or small bore, extended mag, and auto loading holster, but look at that impact. Everyone still uses this shotgun to this day. If you go and play competitive, you will find a lot of people using the BOTHERATION. It is a very, 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 very good shotgun in PvP. So if you do happen to find yourself a blue BOTHERATION, make sure to hold on to it and try it in PvP because it's actually really good. So that is gonna do it for this video. I hope some of you guys did find this somewhat helpful or kind of let you know what you should be on the lookout for and what's gonna be really good for you. I know if you're watching this and you've played Destiny for a while, you're like, why are you doing this? But there's a lot of people that are overwhelmed. Destiny is confusing. There's a lot of stuff in it and you don't know what's good. So I hope that this video was somewhat helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. My next video will be about the new Night Stalker, because I got a spicy exotic to talk about. And I hope you guys have an awesome evening, and I'll speak to you amazing people later. Bye.